I'm Scott, and I've got what should be a pretty interesting project here today. This client drove this up here to Nashville, Tennessee from Chattanooga, and what it is a bit of a family heirloom. It's a StewMac kit that was strung up and was playing, but was not playing very good at all. And it's going to need a whole bunch of work to make it nice. So one of the things that I haven't done yet is hurt it. I need to get some bridge pins in a saddle and string it up and see what the heck's going on. He said that it never played in tune at all. So the first thing I want to check is the scale length, because it's quite possible that the builder, the fellow that put it together, didn't locate the bridge in the proper place, because that is something that really gets messed up right at the very end of it all, most of the time. It also is going to need some refinishing and some pore filling and whatnot. It's going to need some reshaping of the neck. The neck was kind of roughed in but never really finished. The final shape is no good. And it's going to need a pick guard. So whatever pick guard was on there is no longer. So rosewood back and sides, mahogany neck, ebony fretboard, ebony bridge, and a spruce top. So let's look at the scale length. There's a couple ways we can check the scale length. Here's the long scale StewMac Precision Notch Straight Edge. It is definitely a long scale, not a short. But this is meant for a range of scale lengths. Okay, so the other way is to use one of these new Music Nomad fret guards to get the exact scale length. It's not 25.5 Fender Telecaster scale. See, it doesn't fit exactly. It fits for about 5 frets and then it doesn't fit. It does fit this one. This is the Martin scale length, 25.34. So that's just a little bit over 25 3/8 scale length. Okay, now let's see if the bridge is in the right place. I like to use the Saddle-matic. It tells you exactly where the saddle is supposed to be. What you do is I prefer this over trying to get a calculator out and a ruler and stuff. It's a no-brainer. People can come over with their guitars. I can whip this out and tell them what the heck's wrong with it right on the spot. So you put it on the 12th fret, bring it up to the nut, lock it in place, flip it around, and then you take a close look down at the other end, and here's the problem. This bridge was installed almost 3/8 of an inch too far forward. You see where these little needle points are? This is where the front edge of the saddle is supposed to be. Not the middle or the back of the saddle slot. This is actually where the front of the saddle slot is supposed to be, right where these little pins are. This is for compensation. So this bridge is coming off. The holes are getting filled, and we're going to relocate it. But we're also going to refinish the top. So we'll probably do the refinishing while the bridge is off. Well, I'm not going to take the bridge off first. I want to put some strings on it first and look on the inside first. Got this new light. It has a 9-foot extender cable, which is pretty nice. Get a mirror in there. Take a looky. Okay, see what's going on there? The bridge pin's way on the front edge of the bridge plate. That's definitely wrong. But luckily, we got a great method for filling those in. Like I've shown you in some previous videos, we can fill those in with maple fibers and CA glue. Pretty easy and quick. But let's get some strings on it just to see where the neck angle is at. Just in case I do need to reset the neck, it shouldn't be too arduous. There's 2 bolts holding that neck on there, plus a little glue under the fretboard extension. But we'll get the strings on first. Let's see. Three 64ths and 2 64ths. String alignment looks good. I'm going to give you an idea of how very bad it is. It's only playable up here. It's a huge hump in the fretboard right here in this area. I put chalk markings on there. But the general sound of the guitar, very thin. It's like nothing's vibrating down here, because probably from the bridge being in the wrong place. So I think I'm going to have to pull out the frets. I don't know if I'm going to pull the neck off or not. I did finally get a truss rod adjustment in it. The only way to do it is to get in there behind this fingerboard brace and stick it in, and then get a small ratchet like this, a socket, stick it on the end and turn it. So the truss rod works, but the whole thing's messed up. I just did a little test with this Q-tip and some lacquer thinner, and I rubbed it around back here behind the bridge, because I know the bridge is coming back about 3/8 of an inch, and it really marked it up. So this is a lacquer finish, probably just out of a rattle can, you know, that StewMac clear gloss lacquer. Probably what it is, but it's good to know what it is before I start refinishing it. Always a good idea to test the finish to make sure what it is exactly. If it was polyurethane, I would have maybe have a different approach. If it's shellac, I would, you know, start to wonder if I should strip the whole thing off, because I wouldn't know if it's waxed or de-waxed, that type of thing. But it's lacquer, and we can move forward from here. I use a 250 watt heat lamp to warm up the bridge. I also use one of them StewMac spatulas with the offset handle, and cardboard and little pieces of sheet metal help protect the finish, although it really doesn't matter. I'm gonna end up refinishing the top. So here's the offset spatula, keeps me from scraping the top. Like you saw earlier, the bridge wasn't held on very well. Now I'm going to fill them holes. There is a jack inside the guitar right now with a piece of dense foam pressing up against the soundboard, keeping these maple fibers from falling right down through to the inside of the guitar. They'll hit that foam and they'll just start building up. After I spread it around into the bridge pinholes, I'll pack it down a little bit, and then I'll drop in the StewMac thin super glue. That's the number 10. It's water thin super glue. I'm going to pack it in, and then usually about 2 drops per hole. And I usually have to repeat this process about 2 or 3 times before it fills up the hole completely. You can do this right through the bridge if you just want to repair your bridge plate. you can just do 1 or 2 applications through the bridge. You don't have to build it all the way up. Okay, then I add the accelerator. I'm using the Glue Boost accelerator because it's non-blushing. Here's a look at the jack. It's dense foam with saran wrap and wax over top of it. That presses up against the soundboard. And then on the bottom side, it's on one half of the bottom sits on a brace, on a back brace, and then there's a little spacer on the other side. I'm using the Jasco Paint and Epoxy Remover Premium. This one can has lasted me 2 years and it's only half gone. It doesn't take much at all to strip off a small area like this. But the reason I'm stripping this is because the bridge is getting moved back 3/8 of an inch, and I don't want that old lacquer line visible. So I have to really remove all the existing, sand it smooth, and get rid of that line. The bridge is going to end up, the very front edge of the bridge will end up being about where the filled in bridge pinholes are right now. After I scrape the lacquer off here, I start sanding it with a 120 grit. I'll go 120, 220, and 320. Lacquer really gunks up sandpaper. Even the free cut stuff, it only lasts for 30 seconds to a minute worth of sanding before you have to change out the paper, so it helps a lot to strip it off what you can. So you'll start to see that line in front of the bridge disappear, that lacquer line. I've seen a lot of guitars where they've relocated the bridge or replaced the bridge and just left an ugly lacquer line. They didn't bother stripping or sanding. I figure if you're going to do it, you may as well do it right. Alright, and then lastly, this is 320 grit sandpaper. I've already relocated the bridge back and drilled 2 pilot holes. I've put masking tape over the footprint of where the bridge is going to be. And we're going to take it on down to the garage and start spraying some lacquer. First I'm going to vacuum up the dust. I went ahead and pulled out the frets. The fretboard needs re-leveled. It has just an awful hump. I'm going to add that to the invoice. He said if you come across anything else you need to do, just go ahead and do it. He wants this guitar in the family for generations to come. So his father-in-law built it during COVID, and now he's gonna, give it to his kids when they grow up. So my first little sealer coat on this bare wood is shellac. I'm just gonna rub it into the grain. This way, when I start spraying the new lacquer, it doesn't look different in the area where there was no old lacquer. I was going to use a balloon to plug up the sound hole, but I couldn't find any balloons. I'm going to be getting me some balloons, but until then I'll just use this crumpled up paper. Busy times at Harpeth Guitar. We got a lot of Gibson neck breaks happening. I'm repainting them. Here's my spray window. My first thing that I do is I spray straight up lacquer retarder onto the existing lacquer. And that allows my new lacquer to really chemically bond in with the old. After the retarder coat, I immediately hit it with a few mist coats. These are just real light mist coats. I'm going real fast across it. And I'm going to go horizontal and then I'll go vertical. Or vice versa. Here we are 2 days later. Actually 3 days later. What I was doing there with the spraying was getting my first coats of lacquer down over top of the old stuff, and I sprayed that lacquer retarder and a couple mist coats the first day. That's just to kind of prep the surface for some build coats, and so I did 2 days already worth of build coats. We do 3 coats a day, and so this is 6 coats. I'm going to keep going at it tomorrow, 3 more coats tomorrow. That'll be a total of 9 coats, and that's where I'm going to end this video this week. When I pick up on the next episode, we'll be doing the neck shaping, and we'll probably be doing some pore filling around the rosewood. And yeah, that's it. So thanks for tuning in and sticking around to the end. We'll be catching you later.